in the late 1800s, Houghton County, Michigan, was at the heart of the American copper boom. Deep underground, miners toiled in dark, dangerous tunnels, extracting the metal that fueled industry and progress. On September 7, 1895, the Osceola Mine, normally a hub of activity, became the site of a devastating disaster. A fire erupted deep within its shafts, and despite the efforts of miners and rescue crews, 30 lives were lost. This catastrophe would be officially documented as accident number 23 in the mine inspector's report of that year, a chilling reminder of the risks faced by those who worked beneath the earth. Today we open that report and read the words that bear witness to the Osceola Mine fire, preserving the memory of the men who perished in the perilous conditions of mining life in the late 19th century. Anton Jozwiak, whose 2 sons would die in a mining accident only 2 years later, was one of those miners.
Accident 23, one of the most terrible mine accidents in the history of the copper country, resulting in the loss of 30 lives, occurred at the Osceola Mine September 7th. At about 11:30 a.m., while the whole of the day shift men were underground, fire was discovered in number 3 shaft at the 27th level. Captain Richard Edwards, on approaching the shaft, found Captain Richard Trembeth with a party of men trying to extinguish the fire, which had caught in the lagging at the back of the shaft. As there is no timber in the drifts or stopes of this mine, it seems that this is the only place that a fire could possibly have caught. How it originated is, and probably always will be, a mystery. The only solution seems to be that it must have caught from a candle or snuff thrown there carelessly by some of the men or boys. Captain Edwards, after locating the fire, leaving Captain Trembeth and his men to fight the fire with buckets, went to the surface for a hose to attach to the pump in the shaft and to report the fire to the officials. Upon his return to number 4 shaft, the smoke was so thick he was told by a party of men who had just come up that it was impossible to descend either number 3 or number 4 shafts. There were 3 other outlets, shafts number 1, 2, and 5. Captain Edwards at once sent men down these to warn all the men underground of their danger and order them to come to the surface. Skips were kept running in shafts 4 and 5 to give the men assistance in getting out. The skip continued to run in number 5, bringing load after load of men up until about 3 o'clock. In the meantime, a searching party had been sent down. They went to the bottom of the mine and into the different levels, as far as possible, but failed to find anyone. Owing to the smoke and gas, they were unable to approach number 3 or 4, and the 30 men who had attempted to escape by these shafts were given up as lost, as no living being could exist in them at that time. Another attempt was made to descend number 4, but it was found utterly impossible to do so. After careful consideration, when it was known that no human being could be alive in the mine, at about 4:30 o'clock, shaft number 3 was closed over in the hope of checking further progress of the fire. It was then ascertained that 30 men had perished in the mine. Captain Richard Trembeth, Richard Bickle, Thomas Curtis, Alexander Daniel, Richard Grenfell, James Williams, Frank Lander, Jr. Michael Johnson, Isaac Hario, Peter Strangard, John Matson, Andrew Rasinski, Michael Schultz, Joseph Razek, Steve Oriski, Michael Slaughter, Joseph Slaughter, Mike Vogt, Venk Verben, Steve Ristovic, Fred C. Perden, John Cudlip, William Bryant, Barney Helmer, James D. Harrington, Anton Jozwiak, William H. Donald, Robert Johns, Peter Malmstrom, and Walter Dahl. Most of these men were old and experienced miners, and their loss of life was doubtless due to the fact that they thought that owing to there being so little timber in the mine that there could be no fire of consequence there. Thus, although there was ample time for all to have made their escape by shafts 1, 2, and 5, their assurance of their safety made them careless and thoughtless. Some, after being warned, even stayed to eat their lunch. Then, instead of trying to reach the surface by the comparatively clear shafts 1, 2, and 5, they attempted to ascend. The smoke filled number 4, and were soon overcome and perished. As soon as it was possible to enter the mine, the work of recovering the bodies was begun. 13 were found the following Thursday, and the last recovered the Monday following. The bodies were all discovered in or near number 4 shaft, scattered between the 4th and 17th levels. An inquest was held at Osceola by Coroner McDonald on the 12th, 13th, and 17th days of September. 12 witnesses were submitted to a thorough examination by the coroner, jury, and prosecuting attorney Streeter. The facts as given above was clearly proven. The jury brought in the following verdict: that the deceased came to their deaths by suffocation caused by smoke and gas from wood fire originating in 27th level of number 3 shaft, Osceola Mine, on the 7th day of September, 1895. The cause of said fire unknown. We believe that this fearful loss of life is due to the fact that deceased did not realize the seriousness of their danger. Although from the evidence given this jury, we find that said deceased were duly notified. We exonerate the mine officials from all negligence in this sad affair. Before leaving this, it seems proper to me to attempt to make some explanation as to how the unfortunate men were caught in the fatal trap which caused their death. When an easy and sure escape was opened through number 5 shaft, they undoubtedly thought that number for being a downcast, that there they would find the clearest and safest means of exit. Under ordinary circumstances, this would have been the case, but part of the immense volume of smoke in number 3, which had been changed by the heated air from a downcast to an upcast, found its way through the upper levels to number 4 shaft, and this being a downcast, the smoke and gas were borne swiftly down upon the men while they were making their way to the surface, extinguishing their lights and suffocating them then and there, as fully described in the testimony of Mr. Cocking, allowing them neither to go forward nor giving them time to go back. Had they not felt assured of a sure and safe passage to the surface through number 4, they certainly would not have delayed, as they did in some cases. It will be remembered that some, after being warned, even stopped to eat their lunch. This delay was no doubt due to the fact that they thought that number 4 was and would remain a clear passage, and they could ascend it at their leisure.
By reading the words of the 1895 mine inspector's report, we honor those 30 men and the countless others who worked beneath the surface, often in silence and shadow. Their stories endure not just in records and reports, but in the history and memory of the communities they helped build.